I want you to think about the last time you got stuck. Maybe your shot wasn't falling. Maybe you weren't getting minutes. Maybe you looked at the player across from you and thought, I should be further along than this. Welcome to the Basketball Book Club. I'm your host, Coach Benny. That feeling, it has a name. Dan Sullivan calls it the gap. And today we're breaking it down in his book, The Gap and the Gain, a mindset shift that might change the whole way you see your own basketball journey. So what is the gap? Here's the problem. Most of us measure ourselves against an ideal, the player we want to become, the starter, the scorer, the one who's getting recruited. But here's the trap. That ideal is a moving target. Every time you get closer, it moves farther away. You average 10 points and you want 15. You make the varsity team and you want to start. You start and you want to make All-State. When you measure yourself against an ideal that you haven't reached, you are living in the gap. And in the gap, no matter how far you come, you feel like you haven't accomplished anything. So how can we look backward to move forward? Dan Sullivan tells the story of Dan Jansen, an Olympic speed skater who chased gold for 10 years. But race after race, something went wrong. By 1994, he had one race left, the 1,000-meter sprint. His chances were slim. Instead of focusing on what he hadn't achieved, he stood at the starting line and thought of everything he'd gained, the coaches who believed in him, the places that skating had taken him, and the joy of the sport itself. So he raced with a smile. He broke the world record and won gold. That's the gain, measuring yourself against where you started as opposed to some ideal out there. So what does that look like for basketball? If you are living in the gap, you might say, I'm still not a good shooter. I should be making more. But if you are living in the game, you would say, a year ago I couldn't make it from the three-point line. Now I'm confident behind the arc. When you measure backward, you see proof of your progress. And that proof gives you confidence. Confidence gives you motivation. And motivation keeps you working. Sullivan recommends a simple habit. At the end of every day, write down 3 wins. Things you did well, progress you made, or moments that you're proud of. And they don't have to be huge wins. They can be simple. I communicated on defense. I boxed out every possession. I was the first one at practice today. When you stack those small wins, you build momentum. And momentum is the enemy of the gap. So this week, this is what I want you to do. Every night before you go to sleep, ask yourself 3 questions. What did I get better at today? What can I do now that I couldn't do a month ago? What's one moment I am proud of? No comparisons, no should haves or would haves, just honest reflection on how far you've come. Because I guarantee you're further along than you think. You are just looking in the wrong direction. So stop measuring yourself against an ideal that's always moving. Turn around and look at where you started. See how much ground you've covered. That's the gain. And that's where confidence lives, one page at a time.